Is there anything that you'd like to say that now the audience has seen the film? Maybe give some more context. I know in the video greeting at a preview party, you talked about kind of stool sample theft, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the story that I told to some of the executives I was working with at the time, and they're like, we should make that movie. And that was like when my dad got his visa. I said, you have to go see a doctor for 6 months to clear it out of your system before we'll give you a visa. And he's like, I can't do that, I'm gonna lose my job. So he went to this area that had a lot of Europeans, and he started rooming with them on purpose. And then he broke their toilet, and he waited for one of them to use the bathroom, and he took their stool sample, and he had his visa in a week.
Yeah, I kind of want to see that on film now too.
It was in there for a while, but you have to kill your darlings sometimes, and it was distracting a little bit from the script.
So then, was this fairly, similar to your father's story?
No, it started like that at the beginning. My grandfather was a tiger hunter, and there was always this sort of, we would hear stories about him being this like larger than life figure. He was like this legend back home, and everybody, they were all here and he was there. And so I just thought it was an interesting dynamic for them to come from that sort of family and come over here where they're like lowest on the totem pole. So and then I just interviewed like a lot of immigrants, like dozens, like Korean American immigrants, like South Asian, everywhere, and a lot of their stories are what made it into the movie.
Let's go to the audience for some questions.
Where's Danny?
Where is Danny?
He's just right outside. He was supposed to come in. Somebody get him.
Yeah.
Like slap him outside the head.
Well, in the meantime,
I also have one of our roommates here, the gigolo, Maya Khatar is here. He has a short here too. What is it, tomorrow?
Yeah, Saturday, short at 11:30. It's called Arranged, about Indian arranged marriages. You should check it out.
I have a. Am I on? Yep. I have a question about. I'm wondering if there was a version of the script where he makes it to California, and we see him go to California, arrive in California. Is there a version like that exists?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that I still strongly feel that it sounds like that would make it, the nice bow tie knot at the ending, but I always fought not to have that. And I think a lot of times when people actually get that ending that ties everything with a little bow, they actually leave not as happy. And and for me, the journey wasn't really the first, like the A story really that was important wasn't really Sammy and Ruby. It was really him living up to the sort of man that he could be proud of. And so I wanted to end on something that was his journey with just a hint in the other direction. So it was something I was always arguing with people with. Oh, you're back. You decided to show up. Okay.
There's a lot of Indian people out there just taking pictures with them. Right?
next question.
Oh, it's the light.
Can you see us?
I was wondering if you could talk a bit about the decision to have this take place in the 70s, because I thought that looked really cool.
Yeah, the 70s was like, I said that before, it was like sort of a time of a little bit more community, a little less isolation than we have now, which you see even more so now with the recent polarization of the country and things like that. It seemed like a time when people, would talk to their neighbors more, people would, spread out a bit. And so I really wanted to kind of bring that sort of spirit back. And then it was just a lot of the immigration, especially for South Asians, came during that time, 60s and the 70s. And then it just was really cool to be able to mess around with like the clothes and the hair and like everybody was wearing wigs. So half the people were wearing wigs. I think you were wearing a wig, right? He was wearing a wig. They all had wigs, and they were wearing a lot of polyester, and it was a good time.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
Hi. Okay, so my claim to fame for the longest time has been that I know Alina personally, and it was just so cool to see this now, because I know you've been working on it for a long time. I had a question for all of you, but particularly Danny. Maybe can I call you Danny? Sure. Well, I'm Lina.
if you call me Daniel, that means you're mad at me. If you call me Dan, that means you're my sister. Danny is just sort of a neutral term, so I feel great right now.
And like all of you, how did it feel being in a movie where you weren't tokenized for your for your ethnic background? Because like on Community, you were the only Indianish person. Like, right? I don't watch that much of Community. I'm really sorry. I didn't know this either. But I'll go back and watch it all. But how did that play? What was the dynamic different than working with a not as brown of a cast? I don't know. Does my question make sense?
How did it feel to play a South Asian character without being tokenized?
I think that's the goal. I think the goal is to play people, you know. I think what's really great about this film is that, I've said this before, I've played stereotypical characters. There hasn't been a lot of characters, a lot of roles for characters. So I'm just thankful that this was an opportunity. As soon as I read the script, I was like, I gotta be in this. I want to be in this. It's full of like real Indian spirit and real Indian people. So yes, there's accents. Yes, there's some stuff that happens that is Indian, but it's all real. It's honest, and it's written and directed by an Indian person. So I like that. To me, like it was like such a step up from what it was like for me when I was starting out. So it felt great. It felt really great. It felt like a family from day one. We got together. We were doing these really weird workshops where we had to stare at each other's body parts. And it was, and I got to work with people like Parvesh Chino, who was in this film as well. It was like a close friend of mine who we did theater together in Chicago, and it truly felt like a family film, So I just loved it. I thought it felt special, to be able to be like, I'm not just the one Indian character in a thing. I'm one of many people that happen to be Indian. It was great.
Given the track record of mainstream cinema in this country, specifically Hollywood, I'm curious how difficult it was to pitch this project and secure the financing in order to do it.
It was very hard. It is an independently financed movie for the reasons that you said. I mean, a lot of the companies we went. So, I'll even give you an example. I just signed recently with an agency, and they're like a very good agency. They're like one of the top ones. But I had gone to them with the movie before, and they hadn't really paid much attention to it. And then the movie came out and started getting good reviews, and they're really excited. And it's like they forgot that ever happened. They're like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't you come to me before?" I'm like, "I did." So that's sort of the battle that you always have. And I think a lot of when new things come into the scene, new things that are sort of, I wouldn't say pushing an envelope, but just things that are a little different than what you're used to. A lot of them come from the independent scene, and then Hollywood goes, "Oh, people really like that. Okay, fine, let's buy it." And so that's kind of where we're at right now. So in a good way, now people are getting interested, and we want Hollywood to be interested. So yeah.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much, and congratulations on a wonderful movie and experience. I was really happy to be a part of it. My question was related to the setting, setting it in the 70s, but it seemed that it was very keenly contemporary in its sensibility, that there were moments where it was kind of breaking the fourth wall with the kind of humor that it was communicating. Like one instance is when Danny's mom's character says, where you were saying like, "Oh, everyone's like angry and depressed," and she's like, "Oh, all Indians are like that," which for me felt like it was a very like modern, contemporary type of sensibility and type of humor. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about like how you guys approached it as both setting it in the 70s and having that like desire to imitate it, but also have some distance from it to be able to poke fun at it and to like build on those stereotypes, of like the house smelling a certain way or the house looking a certain way. So how do you navigate those stereotypes within the humor?
Yeah, a big thing that we were always trying to do is So in terms of stereotypes, you know, the humor was never meant to be making fun of people. It's kind of like what the question that came up before. I mean, about tokenization and everything. Like for me, in writing it, and I co-wrote it with somebody else for a bit too, it was never really like, I never felt it was like an immigrant story in that way. I felt it was like a guy trying to aspire to the vision that his father had set forth for him, or at least that nostalgic view he had. So for me, I always thought of him as a character outside of this whole I'm just like an immigrant dude coming to the country bubble. And as far as like culture and time period and things like that, I set it into the 70s for some of the reasons that I said before, but it's not a documentary, you know, and so there was choices, and we're playing it for a modern audience. So the 70s, I put in the 70s from a place of authenticity, but then from that it was really just having fun with it, and at the end of the day we wanted it to relate to the audience now. So, you know, like all of our actors, I mean, there were times when I was dipping a little too much, I felt into like making it look like older movies, you know, we had references with The Graduate, this and that, or whatever, you know, but then we were losing people, and that destroys the entire point, you know. So like the only reference I had that was more from the time period was a lot of the cinematography. The reference I used for my cinematographer was Boogie Nights, you know. But after that, then there was things where we wanted to make it faster paced and lively and keep people's kind of modern attention when they're not so used to paying attention to things anymore.
I'll add one thing too. I think one thing we did during filming, which I think was really great and helpful for me, is, I mean, Lena would sit with me right before pretty much, I don't know if it was every scene, but most scenes, we would sit together before almost every scene while they were setting up the cameras and lights, and just kind of re-go over everything, the lines of dialogue, sometimes change them, sometimes completely change them, but just to kind of keep it fresh each time. And I think that helped too, because as you're filming, things change, you start feeling each other's rhythms, people change, and you kind of get to know what the film is. It sort of takes on a new life, so I think that was really kind of cool and helpful and made it feel fresh.
Thank you so much for the movie. I'm actually really happy I came. Not that I wasn't going to come, but I bought it.
That's exactly what we want to hear. Can you put that quote on our website, please?
I meant to say that we bought these tickets. My friend Vita shared the links, and we bought the tickets a few weeks ago. And I texted her this morning saying, are we still going to go, given how all of us are feeling emotionally, given this wonderful election we just had. And I just want to thank you. I think I laughed almost throughout. Like, it felt good to laugh, given that I haven't laughed in the last 48 hours. So I want to thank you for that. But I wanted to make a statement and ask you. I really appreciated the ways in which you dealt with masculinity in this movie. It came through to me. I saw a lot of interesting displays and representations of intimacy and brotherhood, and I wanted to ask whether that was intentional, or was it just me that noticed? I just noticed some really interesting about masculinity, and that was very obvious to me that differs very much from very standard mainstream displays of how men, you know, interact, how they show love to one another, partnership, and the lack of sexualization between their relationship. I really appreciated that too. I felt romantic without all that extra. Not that sexualization is bad, it's just most of the time it's not.
I love your disclaimers, they're great. Yeah, I won't go too much into that, but yeah, I mean, there were some things in my head that were intentional. I'm not sure if they're the same ones that reflected with you. I think there was a lot of things that came into play, which is why I'm so glad that Karen David came on board, because her role, you know, obviously it wasn't because of the, you know, back to the authenticity thing, like, you know, they weren't dating the whole time, this and that, so they're limited in some way, but she did bring a sort of like independence that I wanted, and I think even, I realized that we second check ourselves even as artists sometimes, that you keep certain stereotypes, like gender stereotypes, roles, things like that. Nowadays, like for instance, the cool thing is to have like the dumb doofus dad, to give you an example, right? And it doesn't need to be like that. So even when we were doing the stuff with the guys, instead of them making, you know, I was like, why not kind of explore those little hints that I see things between like my dad and his old roommates, for instance, and those things that you can capture as well. So.
I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about these exercises that Danny alluded to earlier.
Well, Mike was there too. I'll say like this: our very first table read. So when we were all meeting each other, as soon as we got there, we were told to take off our shoes, drop the scripts, and come out to the middle of the floor like this. And then one thing that we had to do was a flying V. Do you remember?
Do it, Mike.
So I'll come on that side.
No, yeah, come on.
Selena, will you lead us through a flying V?
Yeah. Right? So you guys go on each other's cues, right?
It was weird, but I think it was incredible, and like it really did work. It was one of those things that was so unusual and so weird. But like typically when you go to like a first table read or a first meeting or a first read of a script, everyone sits at a long table. You get your script, you get your highlighter. You're separate, you know. And this was such a wonderful way to sort of break that down right away. We were all in a circle. We weren't doing anything with a script, and we were just doing weird exercises like that for like the whole afternoon. Before anyone said like, "Hi, I'm Danny." We didn't even know each other's names. It was like one of those like weird camp, kind of like, almost like theater camp days. So that afternoon, I questioned all my life decisions, you know. but it was amazing. It was like I think one of the things that Lena brought to it is that kind of sort of non-traditional thinking, which I think really translated in the film.
First off, I want to say I'm a big fan of Danny. I've watched like Community for like so many times, especially the first 3 seasons.
Okay.
And chewing up, that's like my favorite duo of all time. So I can't.
Thank you. Thank you.
6 season movie. So I guess my question is, as a first generation Asian immigrant myself, I can usually feel the pressure. So when you're trying to pursue a non-traditional professional career, such as like if you're now trying to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, there's always going to be a certain pressure from your peers, from your parents, from your community that you have to pursue the traditional career. So I want to know, what was that experience for you, and what made you want to pursue acting?
I'm not an actor.
I want to ask you this, yes.
You guys go.
Well, I mean, my family knew right away like I was not going to be a doctor. I think they encouraged me to pursue the arts. I was like dancing since I was like 5 years old, and I think like I didn't really enjoy it when I was a kid. But for my family, I was doing like folk dancing and singing and stuff like that. It was sort of like it was a way to connect with our culture through the arts. And that's what it was. So it was very traditional, but it was, I realized that I just kind of gravitated towards that. And then, I think they realized too that like, school is okay for him, but let's push him here. This seems to be where he's thriving. I was lucky that they wanted me to pursue the arts. At the same time, they were like, but you can't do that until you finish college and get a degree. So I still had to do that, But once I did that, I was able to kind of choose my path. So I'm lucky, but within my family, yeah, I mean, in high school, like my family was saying, like, you should go to India. We pay for your medical school. Like they were. That was like still like the conversations around the table. I just knew that it wasn't for me, and I'm lucky that my mom really was like, it's not for him.
Well, first of all, I want to see some of that folk dancing.
You saw it in the flying V.
That was in Community too. Remember that the one episode?
So I had a very different experience with my parents. They were very traditional, and they wanted me to adopt. Like, I was like, I want to be an actor, and my dad was like, I think it's pronounced doctor. So, like, I went to college to be an engineer, and I just switched to a theater major on them without them knowing. But I think the main thing is you just have to be really passionate about it, and like, just don't let anyone, like, not even your parents, like, let them bring you down. Like, not bring you down, but like, stop you from following your dreams. You just gotta keep showing them this is what you want to do, and this is what you love doing, and eventually they're gonna see it too. Like my parents, it took them a while to like be okay with it. But now they're like very supportive. Now they're like, if I'm on a show, they'll call their family in India, like everyone will know about it. Even before like I even know it's airing, they'll be like telling everyone, watch Tuesday night at 10, Tuesday night at 10, you know, so yeah.
We have time for 2 more questions.
You know what, mine's gonna be really short, and I'm not as nuanced as everyone else. I'm a law student, so I'm just gonna be really blunt. Why the Mary Tyler Moore references? The Mary Tyler Moore references, like they kept happening, so I'm wondering, was that why Mary Tyler Moore?
Why? You know, I don't even remember anymore. Maybe it's kind of a blend of what the other person was asking before about making it like, I guess maybe that's before we departed far enough from 70s humor. So we were still in the 70s humor world at that point. And part of it, part of it was also just, I knew we were also wanted to keep some of the older audiences interested too. You know, I don't know why. I don't. I'm really just making it up at this point. I don't remember why. But I have a giant cardboard cutout of her in my room now, and I don't know what to do with it. So, I don't know. If somebody wants it at one of these festivals, I'll bring it. I don't know.
Hi, I really enjoyed the film. It was great. I actually come from a restaurant background, and a lot of the portrayals of sort of food in movies comes off as a little inauthentic, and I really appreciated kind of the authenticity that came from that particular scene, especially because he was so separate from the other characters and their background and interests. So I was kind of wondering if at any point you had a similarly authentic experience from somebody you knew, Lena, which was kind of like the food cart scene. Somebody kind of gave you that kind of opportunity along the way to help you create this great film eventually.
It's like a depiction in a movie that sort of had a...
Oh no, just in your actual life, if somebody had ever given you that kind of hand to help you start out in creating film to get to this point.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have gotten to this point without like a host of people who really were played that role. Like I had a mentor figure who became our executive producer, and he's kind of like shepherded me and the film, along the way so far. I had another producer on board who kind of helped when we were doing all the financing and things, and kind of was the one who was like, we can figure out a way to make this possible, even though she had no idea. And that's nice, and it's been reflected in a couple of questions here. Like there's the vibe in making the film, and sort of the messages in the film was this idea like that you don't need to worry so much about the pressures that everybody else is giving you. It's just like if you do things with integrity and figure out what you're going to do, and something will work out. And that's sort of like what the Babo journey was. And I've definitely had people who like paved that way for me as well, and kind of looked to them, and I was like, okay, you do right by people, and you try to be good at what you do, and somebody will, there's some path will open up.
So hey, it's almost time to party, but we have a surprise for you. The Tiger Hunter won Best Narrative Feature at PAAFF 16.
Oh, yeah!
Congratulations. Yeah, we didn't plan it this way. We actually have like third-party judges that are totally impartial, and like they love the film. Honestly, I probably would have given it to the film as well, but it was great to be validated by people that don't work for us. So, any last words? Any thoughts? Next projects? Ways they can support this one?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll just say a very quick thank you. Also, I've already thanked my crew. My producer Megan Kadakia did an amazing job. She made this movie get a lot to where it was. But like, I've only realized with this movie how important festivals are to like the journey of the movie. Like people ask me like, oh, what's the journey of your movie? Like it doesn't end at the end of production. It ends with you guys. And it's like, you see movies, there'll be movies in the theaters that you guys never might have known started at festivals like this. You know, you'll see like even like things like the Slumdog Millionaires, the mementos of the world, right? And so we thank the audience for coming out, you know, and thank you guys so much for doing what you do, because these sorts of stories get out there and get all exciting and mainstream or whatever because of people like you. So I'm obliged to say that my producer always says when she can't make it that if you like the movie, please do what makes all the movies get out there, and that's go to our website. It's thetigerhunter.com. It's very easy. Sign up for the newsletter, and we don't spam you. We'll only send it when the movie's released, so you can click forward to your friends. And all the social media links are there: Facebook, Twitter. They're very funny on Twitter and Facebook, by the way. So you'll be connected with them, Karen, and everybody. And that's the biggest way you can help. That does more for our film than you would know. So if you could do that, we'd obviously very much appreciate it. So thetigerhunter.com, or text the word movie to 66866. If you do now, I won't mind. It's 66866. Text the word movie.
Nice. For people that are interested in connecting with friends to an opportunity to see the movie, you should send them to the website. They should send them to the website, and then any distribution news will show up there.
Yep.
All right. Thanks very much.
We'll message them and whatever.
So let's go eat and drink. Here's some bongo music from DJ Reika.
What?